All right, we're recording.
Yes, we are.
And I'm sitting here
second time tonight. Yeah.
I'm having a snack.
Ladies and gentlemen, my laptop died when we did this the first time, so we got right about 10 minutes into it, and it died. And I was frantically running around my house looking for the cord because I had 3 hours of battery time. So unscripted, it truly is. I mean,
well, the ironic part of it is, in the previous recording, we were just giving Bubba all kinds of praise for being really tech savvy this week.
I know. And the thing is, though,
we're gonna leave that out of this take, Bubba.
Yeah.
Knock on wood. That bit us in the ass. No, Bubba was able to upload this logo to the background here, and he was able to accomplish some other stuff this week.
Yes.
And then his computer dies.
My computer dies.
Guess what? It's unscripted. It happens.
Yes.
So Cable and I got a snack. We were waiting.
Yep.
And all I got to say is, bless your other half.
I know. God bless her. She came in and took care of the computer issues because I was ready to snap this damn thing into two. And I'm like, I can't. I got a great job that I can go buy laptops like no tomorrow. That's not happening. But I want to say, you guys, and I did say this, I'm going to say it again. You guys are doing a great job doing the social media. We are on Twitter and on Instagram. Cable has the Twitter account. Mav has the Instagram account. I have the Facebook account and the YouTube that we're putting all this lovely content on. So as of a week and a half, we're just getting the word out, and it's a slow, tedious process. So I want to thank you guys for all three of us doing a good job on social media, except for not my battery in my laptop went out.
Well,
we're just getting started.
We have the, like Bubba said, the Instagram and Twitter. And then all we had to do, we set up the accounts and we're managing that, but we kicked it over to Bubba, and then magically we get followers. I don't know.
Oh, well,
happens,
I put it in the Facebook Messenger, and people were like, "What's going on?" And I had to do another thing. So, people, if you're listening, please tell all your friends, share. We have a lot of stuff that we want to present to you guys. We have a lot of ideas. We want to be as entertaining as we can, and the three of us are entertaining. I've seen a lot of stuff, and realistically, that's why we're in the Pittsburgh City paper for the best podcast in Pittsburgh, which I just threw that out there.
Anyway, so this is the Triple B Experience Unscripted, and straight to YouTube.
Should be fully raw. Should be fully loaded, like really loaded. We got to do one of them too.
So, grab some popcorn.
Unscripted Chapter 2, brought to you by Tammy.
This is
yes.
This is Unscripted 2.0 or 2.5.
Yeah, we'd have been done already. We'd have been done already. Yeah.
I don't got anywhere to be.
I don't either.
It's way past my bedtime.
I'm sorry.
But we're still gonna do it.
Okay, we get time. Are you timing us? Okay.
Timer is set.
Okay, ladies and
gentlemen. All right, we're on the clock.
Okay, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go.
Let's try to recreate the magic that we already did, but we will try. So, Loki, let's just start there. It's been a hell of a week. Previous week, I feel, was a little bit of a down week for Loki. I mean, I know it served a purpose. As Cable mentioned earlier, the graphics were great. That scene was great at the end. But for the most part, I think the episode was a little down for me. But this episode...
But before you go to this new episode, they had the variants had to meet each other. So they had to have some kind of bond on last week's episode going in because the two egos were bashing and they wanted to be the better Loki.
It served a purpose, right? It served a purpose. Little bit of filler, but you needed it. And then after you get that in, you roll into this week.
Yeah, and then last night, as I mentioned, I was sitting there in bed and I run through stuff that I have to do, obviously in my head, which is miles long. But I'm like, oh, you know what?
Before you sleep,
I was sending some stuff out to you guys, and then I thought to myself, you know what? I'm going to get up extra early so that I can get Loki in before I start my day. And I just had some kind of hunch. And that's what I did, and I do not regret it. It was an amazing episode.
Well,
It was, yes.
out of all the Disney stuff that I've seen everything. This was a holy beep moment twice, and it was by far the best Disney Marvel Plus TV show going right now. That is the number one. I know Cable a couple weeks ago said that episode 2 was holy moly. This one takes the cake.
Yeah,
I agree.
it outdid it.
I agree.
For sure.
I think it was an amazing episode. It really was a great episode. Just real quick, I didn't mention this in the last recording. I'm going to mention it in this one. Bubs, you said this was the best Marvel on Disney Plus. How would you
best? Yes, the best. Okay, go ahead.
How would you compare this to the last episode of The Mandalorian?
Oh
man. I'm gonna say that the last episode of The Mandalorian, I'm gonna visually show you how I was.
That's it?
That's the visual that I saw in The Mandalorian. Like, that was my visual. That's on a scale. Okay.
So you went from 6 to midnight. Is that what you're saying?
My scale on The Mandalorian, that last episode, it's here. This Loki episode is like right there for right now.
Which says a lot, because that was a season finale for Mandalorian.
Yeah, and this was not a season finale.
You had the cameo at the end of the episode. Like, that's really a good metric.
I think we're going to get into some Star Wars later on, eventually, like down the road.
Oh, yeah.
I want to pivot this back to Loki, but I just will say this. Just a second, what you said, Cable, that was a season finale. This is basically right in the middle of the thing. So that does say a lot. Though with The Mandalorian, I literally was jumping on my couch. I don't get excited about too much. That I marked out over, and I literally was jumping on my couch. So at like 5 a.m, because I always got up early to watch The Mandalorian because I wanted to get up and watch it.
I watched The Mandalorian twice that night. I watched it 2 or 3 times. So
yeah,
and that's what kills me is they release them, at midnight or at whatever time they release them, and then I got to spend the whole next day trying not to get spoiled online. Yeah, right. Especially with me being on the Twitters like I am, and everybody likes to start the chat early and put whole trending topics as spoilers. I got to stay away from that because it never fails. They'll spoil the shit out of it.
But since you mentioned it, we are going to talk about Loki episode 4, which is going to give off some spoilers one way or the other.
Well,
so just,
like I said, if you didn't watch it, you're shit out of luck. Like, you need to be on it. Like, this stuff, you can't wait a week not watching this stuff. Oh, I can't watch it. I got a week. No. Bang.
Make room for it.
Yeah.
Well, their defense is usually the 3 of us aren't caught up on shows. Mainly me, because my life's just here, there, and everywhere. But it's usually a day or 2 after. This time, like I said, I made it a point to get up early to watch it, so it worked out.
Must see TV. I mean,
I had a hunch. It served me well.
Yeah.
So great episode.
You should just do that for the rest of this journey, and you'll be good.
I should.
Yeah.
I should.
Yeah, you'll be good.
But let's break it down a little bit. Okay, so where do you want to start?
Go ahead, Cable.
Well, so we come back to can't remember the planet they were on, but you pick up there and doom and gloom, and you got Sylvie and Loki, and it looks like it's the end for them. And then the TVA shows up and saves their asses at the last second and pulls them back in.
But
I did miss an important part.
No, you. But the thing is, though, when they were like looking and seeing doom and gloom, and they thought it was the end, and they were looking in each other's eyes, and they were getting that crazy kind of thing that the 2 variants that looked like like how Homelander did it in The Boys, but a little PG rated. The time thing started shooting up like it was crazy.
Right. Like they're alluding to the 2 of them being such an event falling for themselves that it became an event on the timeline. But the part I missed that I want to get back to briefly is it actually opened with the flashback to her when she was a child and they took her. And that's really pivotal because as you find out through the episode, it's just showing how they're turning people's lives upside down for their own needs or desires.
Right.
And I don't know if they're going to get into it, if it's going to be something that's left hanging wide open, but there's a reason why she keeps setting variances off. Like,
well, and the thing is, guys, the picture of Asgard was from behind. It was
that was cool.
It was a different aspect of Asgard, and I do believe, and I haven't checked this out, I do believe that female, the little girl actress, is Judith from The Walking Dead. I think. I'm not sure. I might have to. You know what? I'm gonna Google that while in real time while you guys are talking. But I think that it was, and I didn't have a chance to do this till I just thought in my head because I had a couple concussions. So,
well, just don't accidentally hit any buttons.
I won't hit any buttons.
Okay, all right.
I won't. I'm using my phone.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, I mean, we slowly see almost a face turn, as I referenced before. Even with Lady Loki or Sylvie or the easy for me to say.
The Enchantress,
thank you.
But she's not blonde and voluptuous.
That's my bedtime.
Yeah, that's okay. And I she's blonde and voluptuous. She's blonde in this, but she the curves. But I'm sorry. That's what they do at Marvel. That's what they do with comic book female characters. They're very attributable.
Anyway, I was going to get into this on our last recording. We didn't get there yet. How do you guys feel Sophie is doing as Sylvie?
I think she's great in the role. I don't know what the role is exactly. The more we see of it, I don't think it's straight up Enchantress. I think it's kind of an amalgamation of characters, maybe.
She does have those powers.
Right. She has the powers that they reference by name. And like when she enchants people, it's even green colored, which is how they typically stylize it in the comics. But I think it's one of those, Disney Marvel things where they're kind of just taking bits and pieces and making their own recipe out of, parts they already have and doing their own thing, which is fine because it's a universe that exists on its own. It doesn't need to be tied to the comics. But to answer your question, I think she's doing really good in the role. Like this episode here, she had a little bit of swagger to her, like when she was waiting in the interrogation room after she took
ding 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 ding.
Bubba got it.
She was in The Walking Dead, and she was also in Star Wars. The new.
Now you got my attention.
The Force Awakens, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, she was in The Force Awakens, and she's
at what role?
I believe.
Young Rey.
I think so. And her name is Carly Fleming.
The last time I watched Walking Dead, Judith was still a tiny baby.
Yeah. She was in The Walking Dead. She was in Preacher.
Oh, that was a good one. That was a good show.
Yeah. So that was her. Yes. That was Judith.
Good job.
Yes. Thank you.
Bubba proves once again why it's the Triple B experience.
Right.
Well, I don't know about that, but
anyway, where were we? Oh, okay, yeah, about Sophie playing Sylvie. So I think she's doing a good job as an actress, especially with one that we really don't know, who it is, like what character.
Plus, she's good in the fight scenes.
But here's what bothers me about her. When they pan out and you see her whole body, and I'm not saying she's not an attractive woman, and that's not what I'm saying. She doesn't look like she fits the part
of a god.
As a superhero. She's very she's
not a superhero.
She's very petite.
She's a god.
Yeah, but
and when you introduce the idea of variant, that's because we got those glimpses of what other Loki variants looked like back in the first episode. It's like all shapes and sizes kind of thing too.
True. I don't know. When I look at her, I just don't see super. Anything super.
Yeah.
But I think overall, I think she's a good actress. But yeah, just throwing that out there.
But their chemistry is so good. Their chemistry is so good, and they actually bonded. And Loki, and when we get to when Loki and Wilson were sitting there, and they were playing checkers and chess against each other too, So
let's get into it now.
Let's do it.
All right. I think that scene was excellent. The acting between Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston, I didn't expect that from Owen Wilson, to be honest with you. That the subtleties in that scene when they're both trying to outlie each other, and then when Owen Wilson has the realization that Loki might be telling him the truth, and he tries to play it down and not show his cards, like that was a phenomenal scene between those two, or a couple scenes, honestly.
I agree, and I think I said this last week. I didn't expect that from Owen Wilson at all. Like when I first saw him, I'm like, well,
when I'm thinking Wedding Crashers. I mean,
you just don't see him in this type of role, maybe,
or not in the Marvel.
Something Marvel and Disney have done excellent with the MCU is casting either people that aren't well known or people that you don't think fit the role, and then they come in and kill it. Like that's one of the unsung heroes for Marvel Disney has been their casting choices.
Or they basically, work a character. Actually, let's just put it this way. Tony Stark's, I mean, you couldn't get anybody better to play that. I mean, he lived like that. That's Robert Downey Jr.'s life right there.
Yeah.
That is him.
That's how he was, and he was, an alcoholic and a druggie. Yeah. I mean,
which would be a good tie-in for something else I want to get into and talk about, but we got to finish off Loki.
Well, do you think when Morbius went in and talked to Renslayer, and he's real subtle, and he must have been a drinker because she's like, you're only having one drink, and then when he told her to she put the trophy up on the mantle, and he slid the transporting devices, and then he had to see for himself because she wouldn't let him interview the other variant, would not let him interview. So right there and then something's up.
A thing he did great with his acting in a prior episode that came back around when we do get the reveal confirmed that, everybody working for the TVA is variants that were stolen from their lives. As soon as he had that realization, that took me right back to that episode where he had the whole monologue about the jet ski.
Yep.
And it, hit me in the feels a little bit almost. Like he had a whole life before that he probably had a jet ski that he fucking loved riding.
But it wasn't.
We better see him riding off in the sunset on a jet ski.
But it wasn't him that actually was the start of him swaying. It was B-15 when she went to the variant and she's like, what did you do to me? I remember something. And then she went back to the prior place that they were at before at the supermarket at Rocks and Croft or whatever, but it's the
corporation. It's Rocksmart.
It was Rocks and the corporation that was in the comic books, which was highly criminal at that time.
Roxxon.
Because Roxxon had a lot of stuff with Ben Grimm and stuff, a whole bunch of stuff with astronomical about his stuff.
That was a thing they did in this episode good too, is, for my view, I didn't expect the guard, I can't think of her name, but the one you just talked about,
Hunter B-15. I got B-15. I have it up here. That's why I'm looking.
Okay.
Don't think I'm any fucking smarter than anybody here. I got to look on a thing because a couple concussions,
But I didn't expect her to come around as fast. Like in the scene,
right.
When she asked Owen Wilson's character what Loki said to him, and he told her, and she said, I'm just doing my job. I thought that was going to be trouble for them in the episode.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But if you let's just kind of get into it here with the closer to the last scene.
Let's go. Well, before you go to that is when when Morbius put Loki into that revolving chamber with Lady Sif getting kicked in the nuts.
The time loop.
Yeah. I mean, you're getting kicked in the nuts 100 million times, and then he finally tries to convey about how he was sorry that he cut her hair, because it must have been a long, long time ago that he cut her hair. And then she's like, "You're going to die lonely. You're going to be lonely." So I think that triggered him, into, and then Morbius coming in.
Look at the setup there, like how you mentioned it. He's in this time loop where he just keeps getting kneed in the balls over and over again. That sounds ridiculous. Mm-hmm. It sounds funny, but then there was emotional weight that came out of that. Like eventually he's broke down and he's seeing this pain that he caused somebody else over and over again. And that's, where the face turn comes and they start to redeem him again.
But it wasn't, excuse me, it wasn't until he apologized, really, in that way that where she said, "You're gonna," she picked him up, and then she said about he's gonna die lonely.
He was so pitiful she couldn't even hit him again.
Right there, and right there and then was
that's when it sunk in,
the icing on the cake.
But yeah, that was a big turning point, and then Mobius getting the zap and gone. Right?
I didn't see that coming. I did not see that coming.
Same.
That was a holy beat moment, because I didn't think they were. But honestly, I think I believe that all these people are taken somewhere else. I don't think
that's what it looks like.
Like you said earlier, it's one big mind beep, right?
Yes.
So, I just same with WandaVision and Doctor Strange, and it's all gonna tie and incorporate at some point.
And you think that something's going to be something, but it's not. And then when they go into like Renslayer, like she's a puppet. She's still she was in the elevator when the variant asked her, "Why did you take me away?" And she's like, "I can't remember." She was being smug as hell. She wasn't going to give her the satisfaction, and she knows more. And we went into into that room at the end there, and
then they show the timekeepers and the big reveal that they're fake.
Just real quick before we get into that to your point, Bubba, when Mobius gets the zap, as I asked earlier, were you guys surprised at all by Loki's reaction?
I think Loki was trying to turn the corner, and I think they had a connection because they could actually their banner, and he told him the whole time that the variance is not what it seems to be, and Loki was right this whole time, which I already knew that they weren't as what they seemed to be. So, and I think him and Morbius had that connection where it's good stuff on the tube.
They've built that relationship so well because we're in episode 4 now. They haven't been on screen together since episode 2 at the beginning.
Right.
Yeah, episode 2 when he took off and followed her, and it's felt like an eternity. Like when they finally take them back to the TVA and you see Loki and Mobius together for the first time in like a episode and change, felt great to see them on screen together again. Even though you knew it was trouble for Loki,
but it wasn't even Loki. Right. It wasn't even Loki that threw the sword for cut the council member's head off, like the timekeeper's head. It was her. Mm-hmm. It was her being a badass. She's more badass than he is, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't even have a weapon at first until she gave it to him.
Yeah. No. And there's a part, I forget what he says, but he alludes to how they had more guards on her than they had on him when they were walking through the TVA.
Yes. Yeah, which was hilarious. Real quick, before we get into the timekeeper stuff, did anybody get the Blade reference in there?
Yes.
The vampires.
I marked out big time for that because that's the MCU's first official mention of vampires in the canon.
That is coming, right? That is
a couple years from now. Yeah.
Okay.
And the Titans. And the Titans are the ancestors of the Internals. They put that all out there in
they mentioned them too.
They mentioned them too. Yep. So they're throwing everything out there now. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. So timekeepers. We finally get to see the timekeepers, as Bubba said earlier, and Cable, you agreed, and myself couldn't understand what the hell they were saying.
No.
Sweet mustache though.
I feel like going back and watching it with subtitles just to,
Yeah.
Well, they looked like the comic book characters in the comic, so
Yeah.
I will go with that.
It reminded me of something straight out of Star Wars.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, they look like something. Yeah, seriously, but
Or Star Trek.
Or Star Trek, maybe even Guardians.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
Absolutely.
Anything space-esque, but no. Were you guys surprised that they weren't actually the ones that were pulling the strings with behind everything?
No, I already knew somebody's bigger. I mean, I
was
believe.
surprised.
Yeah, I mean, I believe that the picture of Kang is on the wall, but I don't even think it's Kang the Conqueror. I know he's going to be a vital part of this next phase of stuff, but I don't even know it's him, and I don't even know if they're going to let him come on the last episode to do a cameo. It might be somebody else. I don't know. And sometimes I don't like to know because that's why I like to watch it because I don't want to figure everything out. Yeah.
So if it's not Kang, then who would it be?
That's tough. Yeah. I mean, because Kang, Bubba pointed this out in the first recording. Kang had multiple versions of himself too, from traveling through time and things,
which also fits into this big mind. Beep,
right. Yeah. So if it's not
sense.
Specifically Kang, maybe it's a Mortis or whoever else it could be.
Could be Rum Tum Scarlet Centurion. By the grace of God, could it be? Well, no, that's not, because Doom doesn't do a lot of that, but you know what I mean.
See, I was almost going to say the High Evolutionary, but he's not as much in time stuff either.
He's just he makes like horses and cows people. So yeah, it's hard to say, but it's got to be something.
And that's the fun part of it. You know, it's the guessing and seeing if it comes right or not. But I thought actually the timekeeper that had his head cut off was possibly Kang, because he had like a similar head where the Kang. I could see it being an MCU version of Kang, but apparently not. So
well, the when Renslayer was talking about the other agent I believe is Kang. When she's like, yeah, I had some other agent. It was in the first episode or the second.
Okay.
I believe that's Kang.
Okay.
Because they had and I think they're going to have that relationship based in the show where they didn't have it in the comic book, because at the end there, she got shot by one of his generals that tried to take over, like I said before. And then she had her undying love for Kang at that time when she got shot. She didn't love him before, you know what I mean? It finally comes, to the head when she got shot.
While we're on the topic of the Timekeeper's Chamber, a subtle thing that I love too with Renslayer, when her and Sylvie were battling it out and Sylvie got the upper hand and she had the chance to kill her, Renslayer was okay with that. She kind of was like, go ahead, essentially, which makes me think that maybe she doesn't have the faith in the sacred timeline as much as she says she does. Or she's just tired of.
Or nobody really dies; they go somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And then, not only that, look what happens to Loki.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't see that coming either.
So before we jump to the end of the credit scene, there,
two major stars in the show gets supposedly taken out
with 2 episodes left.
But we know Loki's,
right.
But anyway, she holds that up to Renslayer and basically said, "You're going to tell me everything, right?" And that's where it goes to black. There's the credits, and I was texting you guys at the time, and I let the credits go, and then something came on, and I'm looking.
You always watch any show Marvel the whole way through. It doesn't matter if it doesn't show, because you never know.
But I wasn't expecting it in episode 4. But I let it go. But like I said, I was texting you guys, and then it came on. I'm like, what the? And then the end of the credit scene came up, and he goes, "What? Am I dead?" And then all you hear is like, "Well, you're gonna be if something like that." And then who did we see standing there?
Oh,
young Loki,
kid Loki,
old Loki,
classic Loki, a Loki alligator.
Yeah. And they did a spin-off of that of
was the other one Thor?
That's him. That's Loki with Thor's hammer in another alternate universe.
Like another variant Loki.
Yep. Because that's the hammer.
Well, I loved the classic original design, seeing that in live action, because now between that and WandaVision, we've seen 3 very classic looks for Scarlet Witch, Vision, and Loki, like in the Halloween episode of WandaVision when they dressed up and they had their old looks. So I love things like that. I think
well,
that's
did you
awesome
see in episode 2 that what's her name, Agatha, was like they had somebody that kind of looked like her during like the Ren Festival scene.
No, I didn't notice that.
They had an actress that almost looked just like her.
Huh.
In episode 2 of Loki.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they had
What,
in this past one they had what the heck? What's the actor's name that was in X-Men? Boner. He was in WandaVision. Yeah. They have if you look closely, there's a glimpse of him back there too. He's in like one of the background scenes.
It's Agatha all along again.
I'm telling you that Quicksilver. I'm telling you, he's come. Doctor Strange. He's not Richard Boner. Something else. They're just not wasting that. They're not wasting that character because Quicksilver is a very, very, like when he got killed in Age of Ultron. I was like, that's ridiculous because Quicksilver is a big major player.
Well, the only reason they did that is because they were sharing Quicksilver. And right. They had to, X-Men had a version out and they didn't. It was kind of petty in my view that they just didn't want to have a character that was with another franchise.
Right. Now they can do it right.
But he's in there too. If you watch close enough,
let's go back and look at that.
You go back and look.
I'll have to look. I'm going to watch them all over again anyway. I'm going to do the same thing with WandaVision and the same with Falcon Winter Soldier. But also at that ending sequence, it's the apocalypse, and back and behind all the Lokis is the Avengers Tower.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay, so gentlemen, let's wrap it up with Loki. We went really long on that.
Oh no.
So let me just say this again. One big mind, beep, right? But Marvel does it right. Marvel does it right. So let's pivot to something that you hit home on last week, Cable, which would be DC. Let's put it this way. Where did they go wrong? Okay. What is Marvel doing with their movies and DC is not able to do? Though DC does have good animated series. They do. They're great.
Yeah, I agree.
But they can't get it right on the big screen.
It'd be quicker to talk about what they do get right, but we can go into what they get wrong.
What do they get right? Tell me what they get right.
Wonder Woman.
That's it.
I like Wonder Woman. Well,
Aquaman wasn't terrible.
Aquaman and Shazam were okay.
But Aquaman was Aquaman.
Shazam was better than Aquaman, I think.
Let's put it this way. Aquaman isn't the laughing stock of DC anymore.
For them to do a version of Aquaman that was badass, they deserve a lot of credit there.
Well, Jason Momoa, I mean, like, wow, that's every woman's fantasy. Like, ooh.
Right. And good on them for that casting choice.
Yeah.
So that's 2 things that they've done right. Any more, Cable?
I mean, Margot Robbie is Harley Quinn. I like that.
But they're but the characters they're getting right, but the stories they're not.
Right.
So they can get the characters all they want, but if they can't get the stories,
well, actually, in my opinion, I don't think the characters are necessarily right either. I feel like that's what Marvel does well, is the character development. Right?
Well, Henry Cavill is Superman's good. I think he played a great Superman.
That's not. I mean, maybe that's not what I'm implying. Okay, let me just reference this. You see Captain America go from this patriot, right, to somebody that is questioning his government. That's character development. Right?
Well,
you see Tony Stark go from an egotistical asshole to, somebody that was really bothered by his weapons killing people, right? Mm-hmm. So you're seeing character development. Whenever you see Batman go from this really dark character to the very next movie, he's the one-line comedy guy, right? That's bad character development. Not only that, they built up stories to, the big climatic endings, right? Where DC basically gave us Batman versus Superman like in no time. There was no character development there.
They hurry up and go for a payoff very quickly, and they don't.
Right.
They don't have the Marvel stuff where they're not invested for the long haul.
Right.
I think where all of their problems stem from, or a huge part of their problems is Warner Brothers is way too involved in the movies. Like the suits are who's running the movie studio. You don't have a Kevin Feige there with the passion that grew up loving the characters and the comics running the show. You have a business, and they're just trying to make money and put something out there to compete with their rival, which they're not even close to doing. And that was what hurt them, was when they decided to start this connective universe based off of Marvel. They tried to do it too fast. They didn't, introduce enough characters. Like you said, they had Man of Steel first, and then they jumped straight into Batman versus Superman.
That was at least that could have been 2 to 3 movies.
Oh, for sure.
And then introduce some other characters in between, and they're having all these knee-jerk reactions too. Like in my estimation, I think Suicide Squad is the worst one out of the DCEU. And
wow.
Oh, I can't stand Suicide Squad. I'm not a fan of all.
This second one's going to be really good.
That one's going to be
because
fantastic.
James Gunn's doing it.
Because your buddy John Cena is in it.
No.
You hear all these stories about, when Suicide Squad was coming out and they were doing focus groups and test screenings and stuff. The movie that we saw is a completely different movie than what they made originally. Right. And like they essentially made the movie into a 2-hour trailer. It had flashes of good things.
It could have been a little better. Yes, I agree.
Yeah. And I think the first half isn't bad, but I don't think it holds up in the second half. You just have a bunch of floating space junk and
to me, Green Lantern is the worst DC movie that I could think of right now.
I'm just talking about in this connected universe, though.
Well, it's just there's no connection, and they have different variations of different characters, even from TV. Like I like Doom Patrol, and I like Titans, and I did like Arrow. You know what I mean? Stephen Amell as Arrow was phenomenal. Like Stephen Amell as Arrow could be into the movie, I believe, but they won't do that.
I just feel like I feel like DC kind of just has, instead of writing from the ground up, they have like these check boxes that they need to hit, and then they write up to the check boxes, and it feels forced, and they have to get there.
Well, the TV shows like Legends of Tomorrow, also all the TV shows are better, I believe, because their stories are so long. They know how to build a story than the movies.
They have their own Kevin Feige. I can't think of his name. But
Jeffrey Johns.
No, the other one, the one that's actually like.
Well, one of them was really involved with like the comics, wasn't he? Was it
Jeffrey Johns? Johns was, yeah.
But he
for whatever reason, he did an amazing Green Lantern run, and that introduced all this new ideas to the Green Lantern mythos.
Yeah, sorry.
Like, you don't like it?
I don't buy DC books. I did at one time Batman. Out of the big DC characters, Batman to me is whatever, and I always like Deathstroke, but Deathstroke's a ripoff of Deadpool's a ripoff of Deathstroke actually, but that's about really it. Superman,
but I feel like they have iconic characters. Especially villains.
Well, Wonder Woman to me is the best. Wonder Woman is the franchise of that whole thing, I believe. The whole character franchise is Wonder Woman. Now, this last movie...
They course-corrected after, Wonder Woman 1 was such a big hit. Like, they knew they had something in Batman vs. Superman because she kind of stole the show, especially in the third act. And then they put the first Wonder Woman movie out, and it does gangbusters, and it does awesome. Then you can feel the pivot to where she was the central character. And, it wasn't wrong.
That second one was bad. And then that Justice League cut to 4 hours. I still have yet to see it all. I fall asleep twice.
I liked it.
I got to watch it in parts. I still haven't watched the whole thing yet.
I didn't even attempt to watch it because I don't have 4 hours to sit on my keys.
Well, what you do is you go in parts, like part one.
They have it in chapters. Yeah, they broke it into chapters actually.
But do it right. Like they just.
But Marvel had it right with the fact that they want to build up to this climax and have a universe that connects. DC just couldn't get that right. And I almost feel like if they would have stuck to their kind of niche with like the dark characters, it would have been a separate thing, and it wouldn't have been just like, oh, let's just connect all these together and let's do it in a hurry because the other guys are doing it right and they're getting a lot of response from it.
Absolutely.
If they would have stuck to more of like the dark side of Batman and the darks, like the,
well, if they ever do a live version of the Killing Joke, then if they do it right, then that could be a possibility.
Well, Marvel's getting a lot of buzz because of the comedy aspect with the Hulk and certain other things. But they are. But whether you like it or not, people do like it. There's a niche for that.
But he's going back to being dumbass Hulk. It's coming. He's not going to be Professor Hulk very long.
I don't
be entertaining as that too.
Sorry, I got to get up. My ass is hurting.
I don't disagree with you, Bubs. I want to see the Hulk kick ass and take names.
Yeah.
But they're getting a lot of buzz off the funny ass with Thor and Hulk and
Thor's Ragnarok did. Right.
Yeah.
It had that really quirky comedy from Taika Waititi, bringing that like New Zealand flavor into the story and his style of humor, and it's amazing.
You don't have that in DC. There's nobody in DC that's actually character enough. Like I kind of like sometimes I don't know why, but Ben Affleck was okay in his role because he was an older type Bruce Wayne. I thought that was okay, but
I liked it.
I mean, they have
but at the same time, he was trying to do. They put funny things in there for him. They scripted out like the one-liners, like I mentioned.
But he's not funny,
which I didn't think worked. So everything is just a response to what Marvel did, and that's what I think bothers me the most.
Well,
and that's where they are running into their biggest problems is, and I think it's essentially what you're saying earlier, Mav, is they can do all the casting they want, right, and plot it all out, actually take their time, but the quality of the movie isn't there. The writing isn't there. They're not making these fully fleshed out characters that you care about other than like Wonder Woman and maybe Shazam.
Well, Flash was good, the TV show, but now it's like everything is it's recycled. It's recycled stuff. And then I don't even know if the Flashpoint movie, the only thing about the Flashpoint movie is going to be good is you get Michael Keaton as Batman, which to me was the best Batman.
Yeah. Ben Affleck's in it too, though.
It's all going to be crazy, but you know what I mean? Like when a DC movie comes out, I really like, okay, a DC movie's coming out. It's not like it's the end be all. Like if a Star Wars movie or a Marvel movie, like I got to go see it,
Right.
But not a DC is not.
List.
No, and that's because I don't get any comic books anymore. I don't, and when I go to the comic book shop at DC, they cut their comic book titles down from a whole mess of stuff, and they keep doing them like every 2 years. They revamp it all the time. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because I really want to like DC. Like I said, they have some iconic characters.
I mean, I don't hate DC, but if it's a pick, Marvel all the time.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely.
What they're doing right now. It's nothing against the characters or, how you feel about them, but the product that's being put out there using those characters isn't good.
They got three Deathstroke. They got 3 different actors playing Deathstroke. Like in the last 5 years, 3 different ones. They got the dude, Joe, man, the guy, the Dungeons and Dragons guy from Pittsburgh. He's too big to be Deathstroke. Like he's not. Like the guy that played Arrow was probably, but the guy in Titans, those 2 guys are very, very good. But it's just too much. It's I don't know. It is what it is.
It is what it is. But like I said, let's move on to another topic. But before we do that, you were saying about somebody being too big. Let's go back to something we talked about last week, real quickly. Wolverine.
Got to be small.
I said you said he got to be small. I sent you guys a link that there was potential that Mr. Daniel, what is it? Is it Ratcliffe?
Harry Potter cannot.
Mr. Harry Potter
no.
was in consideration for the role of the new Wolverine.
No.
Is that actually true though, or I thought that was just fan art that started all that?
It was something that was thrown out there as a rumor. So you know how that goes. You can't believe everything you hear on the internet unless it comes from the Triple B Experience Instagram,
yes.
Facebook, Twitter.
Yes. All our social media.
Wow. But anyway, I threw it out there to kind of get a rise out of you guys. I agree with you. I think that would drive me insane. But he is a smaller guy. You wanted it, but then Bubba suggested Danny DeVito, and I would take Danny DeVito any day over Dino Radcliffe.
I saw someone said that, and I was like, well, Taxi.
Why not?
Taxi. Lou De Palma from Taxi. That'd be awesome.
But anyway, move along. DC is a mess right now. We'll probably get back into that at a later time. A couple other things we want to talk about super quick because we are coming up on time.
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah, time flies.
Yeah.
We have a couple minutes left. Steelers. Bubba, you wearing a Steeler hat?
Huge.
This past week was
huge.
a little weird. What's going on there?
It was very unexpected. David DeCastro, the offensive guard of the Steelers, was cut by Pittsburgh, which it was very shocking. But I believe he was hurt, and he's not 100% healthy, and he got cut. Somebody, if he gets healthy, somebody will pick him up. Like
for sure.
Now,
I'm surprised he's not already.
Yeah, I'm surprised that too. I mean, maybe they got picked up, but that would have still made some news. But once they're not a Steeler, I usually don't put too much effort into it when they're not Steelers because it's all about the diamonds, Cable, all about the diamonds. And I know, but yeah. So I just know that our offensive line, this is huge, has no. Kevin Dobson only had 4 starts, and other than that, that's pretty much it. That's the only.
They replaced him the next day. What was it? Is it Foster or what's the guy's? He's a veteran. He's a seasoned lineman.
Well, they signed. They signed the guy from the Chargers.
Is it Foster or what?
I believe it's true. Something like
Turner or something. Sorry,
Turner.
Turner. He was an All-Pro, but he only played 6 games last year, and he's 28 years old. And I don't know, the offensive line of the Steelers is not going to have consistency because they haven't even gelled yet together. And the thing is, Ben's passes last year were 0.2 seconds behind the line that he had with Pouncey and DeCastro and Villanueva, and he knew all those guys. He doesn't know any of these guys. He's 39 years old. Big Ben is going to.
Here's my thing.
Okay.
This may force Ben to run the damn ball instead of throwing.
He's going to have to run the ball quickly because he goes against Buffalo in that first game, and he might not get out of Buffalo.
You're also trying to plug in a new running back too.
Yes, we have offensive weapons. Ben's going to have to. I'm deathly afraid of this line. Like in the 80s, we were bad. We didn't have a quarterback in the 80s. We had an offensive line. Okay, now we don't have a line because in 13 months, nobody that was started in the last 13 months is there. Like Dobson is a rookie, pretty much. Like we are in parallel people. I mean, there's no training camp this year either, which is bullshit. Okay, we can't go down there. Triple B Experience cannot go down to Steeler training camp and try to get Big Ben to say my name again because that's what I try. None of that. We can't do any of that. So we can't see any of these young guys. Can't watch the offensive line. So, I mean, this is the year that is going to be telling of how Mike Tomlin is a coach, which I don't like Tomlin.
And add the extra game.
An extra game is going to cost him because the last part of the season is terrible. We could go 0-6 or 1-5, and it's bad. We'll be kicked out of the playoffs by mid-November if it were. It's not good. This line with DeCastro, like, it blew my mind like he did that. Like, I can't believe that they're like, you know what, we'll let you sit and heal up. We won't even keep you, home for a little bit to heal up. Was it that bad of times that they're like, we're just cutting you? So I guess if you're an all-pro, because he wasn't all-pro last year, even due to COVID season, and they're like, you know what, you're injured. You know what, we're cutting you. See you later.
They need to release from cap.
And
still.
But we signed a whole bunch of linemen. Like I can go through, but is any? I mean, like
we don't got time for that. So.
No. We ain't gonna have time. This podcast right now or show is gonna be like Ben right behind the 5 guys and he has no clue who the hell they are.
What a train wreck!
It is. It's. I'm telling you, it's not. This is not good. This is not good.
We're over on time. So
Oh Jesus! Oh my God!
But anyway, real quick, I just wanted to touch base on wrestling, super quick. Any highlights from this past week? I know one that stands out for me. Bubba, you're not going to like it, and you're not going to want to hear it. Okay. But Riddle is more over than Rover. His pop is just getting more ridiculous by the week.
Well, they pump that in. They pump that in.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure he'd be getting a pop. The funny thing is Riddle's playing this character.
I think he's going to turn. I think he's going to turn on Orton.
But Riddle's a legit badass.
I understand that. I mean, he's MMA.
You got to give him credit where it's due. He's playing this character, and he's playing it perfectly. And
that's why Vince is getting comic writers to give him comic material.
The RK Bro is like, it's genius.
He's going to be the most over guy on a Raw in front of a live crowd.
Like, sure. And then him playing with the fact he wins this battle royal, right, to get Randy Orton in to make up for what happened last week. And then he Damian Priest goes up to him and goes, hey, Riddle. He's like, I'm not Riddle. I'm Randy Orton. And plays it up like he's Randy Orton going into that final match, right? Yeah. Like it's everything everything that he did was just money. It's one of the better highlights of WWE right now.
Well, right now, maybe the SmackDown writers are writing stuff for Raw now. But because you had Kofi Kingston and MVP cutting a hell of a promo Monday night. So, I mean, but the ladies wrestling has gone down the tubes lately. Rhea Ripley is just it's god-awful. Charlotte Flair, and that is terrible. And A&E is by far with Eddie cutting that promo, you know what I mean? And he got a little bit of bashing from Bubba Ray. And, you know how I feel about Bubba Ray, yeah, there's so much wrestling we can talk about. Yeah,
that's something we should put on the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's somewhere.
I wish I had it, but
it's on your Facebook. The next time it comes up on your memories, re-download it.
I have the ECW when I was whatever, and it was too hot for TV. But I mean, everybody's going. They're going on the road now. They're going on the road. Everybody's traveling. Like Friday night, I'm going to IWC, and I'm going to get a Sergeant Slaughter autograph, and I'm going to try to have him say, it's a podcast, the Triple B Experience. That's what I'm trying to do to get some stuff. But I mean, I know you probably both of you guys like Riddle. I don't have nothing against Riddle. I just, I'm just not. He reminds me of Spicoli in Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
But it's another one of those classic tag teams that are like complete opposites.
The stock connection.
Yeah, so it's been done before, but Riddle's really hitting his stride right now.
Oh, he's in shape.
I wouldn't surprise me. We'll do probably prediction later on, but it wouldn't surprise me if he won the whole damn thing.
We'll have to wait.
Dude, why not? They got nothing else.
No, they don't.
So, just real quick though, like I said, because we got to get the heck off here. But AEW,
we're all going. We got tickets. Woo,
yeah, well, yes. Thank you for that. Though AEW Jungle Boy really put on a hell of a performance this past week. He's a future star. Future star. I knew he was a good worker, but I never thought or looked at him as like the main event guy. But
he can be.
He can go.
Yep.
And tonight, MJF, Sammy Guevara, great match. Those are two bred not from anywhere else, bred from AEW. Those are the stars with Darby Allin and a couple other guys sprinkled in with some veterans. This company, I mean, you got people coming that are resigning from WWE in the executive board. Sanjay Dutt is down at the AEW show tonight. He just resigned a couple days ago. So there's a whole bunch of stuff going on. Besides Vince hanging out with Dave Chappelle, I don't know.
But yeah, so wrestling. I mean, not a huge. We're not leading into a pay-per-view just yet. We are, but we aren't. We're not like a week or two out, so nothing really huge. But just a couple highlights that I just wanted to mention there.
That's
Cable,
fine.
you got
No, we're
anything as
good.
far as wrestling?
Yeah, I got a low light, I guess. A couple weeks ago, I think on the first one back for me on the actual podcast, I mentioned concerns about what they're doing with Karrion Kross. I don't know if you guys saw that he had his first match on main event, and he did not have any of his entrants. They didn't even have Scarlett come out with him.
That's
He
terrible.
came out just on his own, no music, and it looked weird and out of place. And I don't know if that's what they're going to do with him on the main roster, but they took like almost all his gimmick and stripped it away.
That's dumb as hell.
She's got to be with them because she's just every part of that gimmick. And
Absolutely.
B is a guy you would think would fit into that main roster overly well.
Absolutely, 100%.
Even better than even NXT because
yeah, right.
It's just
him
and Johnny Gargano. It's just weird to me.
When you put a hot dog on a grill, you put a hot dog on a grill to cook it to eat a hot dog. You don't go putting the hot dog on the grill. WWE changes the formats of guys from NXT. My analogies are crazy. I understand that. And when they go to the main show, like you take Scarlett with him and Karrion Kross, the whole package, and they go up when it's time. It's not even time to go yet, and they're trying to get him because Vince was at the Performance Center this week doing God knows what. I don't know what he was doing.
I making cuts there.
I don't know what he's doing. They're getting rid of everybody, and Tyler Breeze and Killian Dane was the only big names that I thought that were. But you could build a company with all the names that have been released.
Well, again, I know we're over on time.
I know. I'm sorry.
But no. But here's the thing. Vince has a problem with people that he doesn't make. He doesn't even trust Triple H and Shawn Michaels apparently, because if they're going to change gimmicks just from NXT to Raw or SmackDown, then he's not trusting the developmental. The point of the developmental is to get these guys over. Once they start getting some buzz and steam, there's a reason why they got over down there.
Mm-hmm.
Put them up and let them play the gimmick that they played. Why are you changing?
They're not working together at all because I don't know if anybody saw the interview Samoa Joe did, but he said literally like an hour or a couple hours after he got his release from WWE, Hunter called him and told him, I'm going to use you. Let me work a few things out. And the same thing with Aleister Black. There's all these rumors that Triple H wants him in NXT. Just call your son-in-law and be like, hey, I'm not using this guy. You want him? Like, what the hell's going on?
So
they did it with Finn Balor. Why can't they do it with the other two?
So at Easter dinner, they don't say a damn word. They don't even talk.
I don't know, dude. That family is
out
of
touch, out of touch, man, out of touch.
It's bad. But if you can't trust Triple H and Shawn Michaels, then call it a day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Forget it. All right, guys. I think that's going to wrap us up for the 3BE Unscripted.
Unscripted.
It was a little bit of a long night. Apologize.
I'm very sorry. My battery. So.
Oh no, it is what it is. But it was still fun.
It'll never happen again.
Got this in.
Never happen again.
Learning experience.
Yeah,
it happens.
This is chapter two, and like I said when I started, I want to thank you guys because Gary, you do the Instagram, and Cable, you do the Twitter account, and I do Facebook, and we still do me and Gary still do, and Cable, we still do the once a month Triple B Experience podcast on idiotradio.net, but we're doing more content of our own brand right here with the three of us. And I just got to get more tech savvy, and I appreciate all the support, likes, share, tell your friends and family,
subscribe.
Talk about me
to the YouTube channel.
Yes,
I promise you, we're getting bigger and better. There's going to be a lot of content coming out. Cable's got a ton of ideas. Bubba's got a ton of ideas, and they're full of knowledge that I think is entertaining and you will enjoy. But until next week, again, this is the Triple B Experience Unscripted. Signing out, and we'll see you next week.
See ya. See you guys.
Just hit the button.
I can't find it.
It's where you left it.
Oh, yes,
Over
son
this
of a.
part.
Hold on.
Blooper
Same
reel.
place, same places where you found it.
Okay, people, we're gonna shut it down. But hey, I'm still not that tech savvy as I think.